Hi, this is Jose Sanchez with the Insurance Advisor. We've been getting a lot of emails and phone calls from different agents across the country asking, well, what's the difference between becoming an actual broker or being hired by another company that's more of a captive environment, but they give me the opportunity to hire and recruit people. So today we're actually going to go through two different companies. One company goes from a training associate at a 35% to an associate at a 45%, marketing director at a 62%, and then the senior marketing director at an 81% contract. Another company out there starts agents off at a 40% contract. They move them up to a 50% contract. You can get into management and earn a 52.5% contract. You can get into a second stage of management and earn a 57.5% contract. And then you can become a master general agent or an MGA and earn a 65% contract. So I'm going to actually just go through the basic math of these companies versus becoming an actual broker, where generally your life insurance contracts anywhere start from 70% up to 100%. But to make math easy, we'll just start with the 70% contract. All right, so let's level the playing field. And what I mean by that is, depending on what company you choose to work with, they have different advance rates. Some companies may say that they'll advance you 9 months of your commissions up front. Other companies may say, well, they'll advance you 9 months, but in reality, they're only going to give you 65% of that up front. For this example, we're just going to say that the person you sold the policy to is going to keep that policy for the full 12 months. So no matter what the advance rate is, eventually you're going to receive your full commissions. As an independent broker, for life insurance, your commissions run anywhere from a 70% commission all the way up to a 100% commission. So for this example, we're just going to start you out at a 70% commission. And we're going to say that you enrolled someone in a $80 a month life insurance policy. $80 a month times 12 months means there's $960 of yearly premium being paid into the insurance company. Well, if you're an independent broker, you get 70% of that. So we're going to just multiply that out, which means you get $672 worth of commissions. Well, if you start with the first company, they start you out as a training advance. They pay you 35% of your commissions. So if we do that same math, if we take 35% times 960, that means you're going to get roughly $336. Roughly half of what you would make at an independent broker, which really means you have to work twice as hard here just to stay even with the independent broker. With the other company, as a new agent, they start you out at a 40% contract. So we'll do the same math. 40% times your 960, which is roughly about $384, which is about $288 less than what you would have made if you were an independent broker. Now, I know what a lot of you are thinking is, well, I looked at these other two companies because they gave me the ability to recruit and hire agents. So I'm okay with starting out at a lower contract because when I hire people, that difference, that override, will make up the shortfall. Well, let's see how that works out in reality. So with the first company, you can become an agent or an associate at a 45% contract. So we're going to take the 960 times it by a 45% contract, which means that you're going to make $432 on each sale that you write, which is roughly about $240 less than what you would have made as a broker. But you're thinking, all right, well, that's okay because now I have the ability to recruit and hire people. I can hire people and teach them what I haven't even learned myself yet. Well, if you're at a 45% contract, you can hire someone at a 35% contract, which means you're going to make a 10% override off of each and every deal that they write. Well, 10% of 960 means that you get an extra $96 worth of overrides. Well, most people will say, well, all I have to do is see how many agents I have to hire to make up this $240 difference. And if we divide that out, roughly you're looking at about 2.5 agents. Which on the surface it doesn't seem bad. So I'm going to write that number over here. And we're going to hit pause on that number. Company A, you need 2.5 agents to make up the difference. Company B, you can become a supervising agent, and they'll put you at a 52.5% contract. We're going to do the 960 times 52.5. And when we multiply this out, roughly that's going to give you about $504, which means you're about $186 short of what you would have made as a broker. But again, then you have the ability to recruit and hire people. Now, the dilemma with the second company is that most of the agents go from a 40% contract to a 50% contract relatively quickly. So you're only going to make about 2.5% override on them. So when we divide that 2.5 into the 168, roughly you're going to need about 7 agents. Because you're going to make about, on that same deal, you're going to make about a $24 override. It turns out to about 7 agents. So we'll put 7 over here. On the surface, when you're looking at that, when company A and B are talking to you about their opportunity, they're saying, well, look, you only have to hire maybe 2 or 3 people, and you're going to be making what the independent broker made. Or you only have to hire 7 people, and you're going to be making what this guy made. There's a flaw to that logic, and the flaw is pretty simple. It's called the 80-20 rule. In any avenue of sales, 80% of the sales are done by 20% of the employees. What that means to you is saying that you have to have 2 agents isn't quite accurate. We have to assume that because of the law of averages, only 20% of those agents are going to write. Which means we have to divide out that 20%. So that 2.5 agent actually turns into 12 to 13 agents. This 7 agent actually turns into 35 agents. You have to write, you have to recruit, hire, and train 12 to 35 more people in order to equal what you would have made as an independent broker. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Well, if I had this many agents in my downline, I wouldn't be at these entry-level management positions. Well, that may be true. You know, there's different volume requirements with each and every company. But let's say that you hit the volume requirements. With the first company, you can become what's called a marketing director. A marketing director means that you make 62% of each and every deal that you write. So if we take the 960 and a 62% contract, that means that you're roughly going to make about $595 on each and every deal that you write, which puts you roughly a little bit short on what the broker's making, roughly about $76.80. Well, if you're at a 62% contract, that means that you can hire people as long as they never want to get into management at a 35% contract. And that means you're going to make a 27-point override off of each and every agent. Well, if this agent writes the same deal, it's not that bad. You're going to get an override of about $259. And you're thinking, great, I only have to hire one agent to make up the difference. We'll put that one over here. With the other company, you can become what's called a general agent. General agent, a GA, you can make a 57.5% commission. So we'll take the 960 and we'll multiply this out. That means you're making $552, which is about $120 short of what you would have made as an independent broker. But you have the ability to recruit and hire agents. The other company, like I said, agents generally go to a 50% contract relatively quickly. So you're at 57.5, you're hiring people at 50, which means you're going to make 7.5 points off of each and every deal that they write. If they write the same deal, that means that you're going to get about a $72 override. If we divide that out, you're going to need about 1.66, call it 2 agents. Now we have to go back to the 80-20 rule. One agent isn't really one agent, because only 20% of your agents write. So we have to divide that out. One agent actually really means you need to hire about 5 agents. On the other end, where you had to hire 1.6 agents, that really means you need to hire about 8.3, call it 9 agents. So my question is this: what's easier, for you to take a lower contract and hire an additional 5 to 8 agents, find the people, recruit them, train them on the different product lines, just to make the same income as you would have made as an independent broker, maybe even an insurance advisor? I hope this video kind of answers some of the questions that we've been receiving. If you'd like more information, feel free to call our local office or visit us on the website. With the first company, you can become an associate at a 45% contract. Assuming you hire someone that doesn't want to get into management, they're going to be at a 35% contract, which means you make 10% of whatever they sell. So on that same $960 yearly premium, you're going to make $96. Now, as a manager, if you were to wrote the deal yourself, you're going to make $432. So what a lot of people will say is, well, how many people do I have to hire to replace my income? And what we're going to do is we're going to work that math out. So we'll take 432, you make a $96 override, and most people would just divide this out. They'll say, well, I need about 4.5 agents to replace my income. In the second company, their management opportunity starts at a 52.5% contract. So if you wrote a deal at a 52.5% contract, $960 annual premium, that means that you're going to make roughly about $504 in commission. But the dilemma is, if you're at a 52.5, most of the agents go from a 40% contract to a 50% contract relatively quickly. So you're hiring in at a 50% contract, which means your override is only 2.5 points. 2.5 points times the 960, that means you're going to receive an override of about $24 for every agent that you hire that writes the same thing. And when we divide that out, you're looking at roughly about 21 agents. And that's where a lot of people will stop the math. Hey, with this company, my override means that I only have to hire about 4 or 5 agents and I can replace my income. With this company, I have to work a little bit harder. I got to hire about 21 agents. Well, there's a flaw in that logic. And what the flaw is there's an 80-20 rule when it comes to life insurance. Well, when it comes to sales. 80% of the sales are done by 20% of the workers. What that means is, even though you have 21 agents here or 4.5 agents there, at any given time, only 20% of those agents are going to be submitting business. What you have to do is you have to carry the math to the full extent. You have to take these numbers and you have to divide out that 20%. For the first company, when we actually divide this out, what this really means is you actually need 22 to 23 agents on your roster to replace what you could have written as an agent. With the second company, when you take the 20%, you're going to have to work a little bit harder. You're going to need about 105 agents to replace what you could have written as a supervising agent. And I know a lot of you are saying, well, if I had this many agents, I wouldn't be at these entry-level management positions. I would actually move up the hierarchy. All right, let's work this out again. With the first company, you can be a marketing director at a 62% contract. 62% contract, if you wrote that same deal, that means that your commission off of that would be roughly $592. Over here at the other company, you're at a 57.5 contract. $57.5. So if you wrote that same deal, you're going to make $552. Assuming On the first company, you're at a 62. You're only going to recruit, train, and hire people that never want to get into management. At a 35%, you're at a 62%. That means that each person that you hire, you're going to make a 27% override off of them. With the second company, most of the agents get to this 50% relatively quickly. So you're going to make a 7.5% override off of these people. So when we do the math, 27% override, if they write that same deal, that means that your commission is going to be $259 override. With the second company, at a 7.5% override, that means your commission is going to be about $72. Well, if we do that same math of how many agents you're going to need, well here, you're going to need about 2 to 3 agents. Over here, you're going to need roughly about 7 to 8 agents. But when you factor in that 20% rule, that 2 agent actually comes out to closer to 12, comes out to about 11.42. Over here, that 7 agent actually comes out to about 38 agents. Here's the question I have for you. What's easier? To hire 12, 13 agents, 38 agents to consistently write business to replace an income that's going to be less than what you made as a broker? Or is it just simpler just to become a broker? Maybe an insurance advisor, and start at a higher commission rate. If you have any other questions, feel free to call our office or visit us on the website.